Hi everyone, my name is Gloria Fluxa. I'm CMO at Submer, and welcome to the CMO Chats.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What sparked your interest in marketing?
Well, I actually has two degrees, one in journalism and the other in advertising and PR. I wanted to be a journalist at the beginning, and then I realized that somehow I was selling things to others without them knowing because it was a kind of journalist that I didn't like that much. And then I realized then if I have to sell, let's sell and everyone knows that I'm selling something.
Really?
No. And I decided to go through 100% marketing, advertising. I love the creativity out of everything. And it keeps me really motivated to always find new ways of storytelling and talking to people, telling the brand's stories. So I fall in love with that.
Can you tell us what your company does?
So Submer, it's a company that it's based on, or the main technology provides immersion cooling for data centers. And probably that is a really weird term for people that are not coming from the industry, right? A data center is basically where all the servers of the companies are, like Netflix, Google, Facebook, wherever the cloud that we always said. There's not like an actual cloud. There's a specific server at some point where we connect to have access to the data, to the TV shows, to send an email, to use WhatsApp, whatever it is. So we provide the cooling for those data centers. There are types of cooling. There's air cooling, which was the traditional one. Um, and what we provide is a type of liquid cooling. This means that we, instead of having a vertical rack with the servers and fans, we take out all of that and we have like a horizontal bath, a tank with a fluid that is dielectric, and we submerge the servers, which is, yeah, really crazy. They work perfectly well. And what we achieve with that is that we reduce the power consumption, reduce the space because can have more compute, more powerful servers in less space, and we reduce the infrastructure cost. We can reduce to down to zero waste of water because data centers also spend a lot in water to chill, to cool down all these servers through air cooling. So at the end of the day, you have cost efficiency, sustainability, and we can even go farther and have a circular economy kind of achievement, which is heat reuse. So we can reuse the heat of the servers to, for example, heat up a building like offices or stuff like that. So it's a sustainable and efficient solution for data centers.
That's incredible. It sounds almost futuristic. So I guess that
Yeah,
name Submer comes from submerging into the liquid.
exactly. Not a lot of people got that, but yeah.
So as the CMO in your company, what is currently your main marketing focus?
I always explain it as a translation of the company goals. No, my main focus is to translate the company goals into the marketing objectives that are going to support those goals. We support our sales targets through lead generation, acceleration of the pipeline, branding goals like boosting the trust, whatever it is. Of course, together with the team, I organize the resources, establish OKRs, KPIs. We plan the strategy that will get us to those company goals. Currently, I'm also centered a little bit on leveraging data-driven insights to personalize customer experiences for the big accounts and optimize digital marketing experiences and strengthen the brand presence. I also have a significant focus, of course, in leading and empowering the marketing team.
Mhm.
And this involves fostering collaboration, nurturing talent, ensuring alignment with the strategic objectives and other departments. And for me, it's super important to foster a culture of creativity, but also accountability, because we aim to drive innovation and excellence in all our marketing efforts.
You sound very busy. You have a lot, you wear a lot of hats, Gloria.
Exactly. I mean, when you work for a startup, now we're already a scale up, but I joined the company, we were 25 people. Now we are 125 people. And there was zero marketing, like marketing was non-existent. So it was fun.
Can you tell me about a particularly innovative or successful marketing campaign your team has recently executed?
A really interesting one, at least. It's this kind of new format that we made up. That it's a live streaming event. We have to come with this idea because of COVID, of course, at that time. But now we've been improving this format really every year, and this has been like now it's like part of the brand, part of the story, and it's something that the industry wasn't really used to that. So we create this live streaming thing where people could connect and they will see live demos around the technology. They could ask questions with our experts answering them live, like live. We would talk about the company's roadmap. So every year we present how the company was doing last year and what's the expectations for next year. We'll interview key stakeholders of the industry. And somehow this boosted a lot our digital awareness and positioning. I would say that these also help us with the branding structure of understanding our positioning in the market, but also we somehow, even without planning for it, we create this little positioning for us where everybody will consider us as innovative and leaders of the industry, and also highlighting our values around sustainability. So I would say that it started like something that was like aiming for specific mini goals or objectives on a short time period, but then it grew even bigger, and now it's a huge part of our strategy and our brand. And a lot of interesting a lot of interesting opportunities came to us out of this, of course, because customers or potential customers that are audience of this kind of format, they have a new predisposition around the technology, right? Because they've been better educated. So when they come to meet with our sales representatives, they have a different stage. They're in a different stage of consideration.
You're actually the second CMO that has mentioned live streaming in the past, I think, 2 or 3 days. And it's something that I find very interesting because it's quite different from what we do, right? So we organize kind of closed events, whereas the live streaming is something we haven't experimented with yet. And I find it extremely interesting. And it sounds like it's been very successful. So do you see a lot of participation?
Yes, actually, and that doesn't mean that the in-person ones are, of course, not good. And I love them, and actually, we have like 20 of them every year. This is more like we do it really intimate. So even though you're connected from home or from your office, you can talk directly to the product manager that made the product, and he is looking to you at the camera. We have cameras everywhere on top of the product, like submerged, so you can feel like you're there. And that was the key of this specific success, that it was almost like an in-person event, and even you could show things that in a physical event you cannot, because maybe there's too much people, it's not that intimate, you cannot hear everything well, you cannot access to the inside of the tank, of course.
Absolutely.
So we try to make it in the most innovative way and creative way. It was not just like a typical webinar streaming, you know what I mean?
It's almost like a hybrid event at that point.
Yeah, that was the aim.
What are your biggest marketing challenges at the moment?
I'd say, and I think this is something that in the industry we're all struggling, at least in immersion cooling, but the creation of social proof or testimonial type of content. So we have customers, of course, with large deployments and that have been using the technology, but we're not allowed to mention them or even to even create anonymous content, which is difficult for us because the technology is disruptive and we need to educate the potential customers, but not just because Submer, because my company is saying, right? It's because there's customers that have been working with the technology for 3-5 years now, and they want to hear other customers that has experienced this and that they trust technology, everything works, they had a really good ROI, they lower their TCO. So this lack of specific content, which is not the company's one, but our customers, is the one that we lack. So we now try to be creative on how to create content that is an alternative, or having the customer talk about the products and the technology.
You mentioned this. Something that we have actually been seeing in the events industry more and more is some of our clients are actually doing events where they don't just invite prospects, but they also invite some prospects and some current clients. And there is a lot of potential in current customers actually sharing their experience. How does your company stay ahead of its competitors in terms of marketing?
There's a few things, of course, like continuous market research, having a customer-centric strategy somehow, investment in talent, because I have like a wonderful team. But really, what I think it really makes a difference with us, it's the brand and positioning differentiation and the way that we do it. So we have a really unique kind of branding, and what we created in the past years, and it's been, I'm not going to say painful because it was fun, but it's to try to give something extra, like an extra value that it makes for potential customers. We're way more attractive than our competitors to work with, and it is really really related to our capacity to be a bit bold and unique and do things that our competitors will never do, which sometimes is difficult too, because I have to also sell my ideas internally. And sometimes, like, wow, Gloria, that's a little bit crazy. Don't you think that's too much? It's like, well, I think it's the best approach. And maybe they answer, yeah, but no one ever did this in this industry. I was like, well, maybe that's why we need to be the first ones doing it. So no, so you have the detractors and you have the fans, and then it's really difficult to keep that kind of differentiation all the time. And I'm going to put you a really fun example. So I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, in one of these live events that I'm saying, that we call it the Summer Experience. And there's one every year. We had the crazy idea of having the two founders bathing inside of the tank.
Oh my goodness.
With the fluid, with the servers, with a hair dryer that was on, and we were demonstrating with them inside of the tank. This.
My goodness. That is pretty
So
risky.
yeah, that's in YouTube. So for everyone that wants to check it out, it's in YouTube. It's in the Submer channel. So you can imagine how was this conversation internally. That was a really tough but fun conversation.
That must have been a hard sell for you. So congratulations on getting away with it. That's insane.
Interesting enough, the founders were almost all in from the beginning, but we have to convince also other people. You know what I mean? So I'm really lucky to have like the CTO and CIO of the company, which are the two founders, Paul and Danny. They really understand me and trust me with this kind of crazy ideas. But I think it makes sense, right? Because you're doing a really important statement, which in this case is, I trust so much the fluid we design, which is 7 times safer than air because it's less conductive than air, that I'm putting my body on the tank, which of course we'll have to put 2,000 disclaimers of do not do this at home, do not this on your data center. So please, I'm not saying that you have to do this, right? Because this was done with our expert team, our chemical team, like everyone was there and it was completely safe. But we're saying to the customers, your most important asset in the company is the hardware, is the server, which is super expensive. It's not like our desktop computers. But we're putting the founders on the tank. So that's how much we trust the technology. Now, you can imagine that that is something that our competitors will never do. Like almost anybody in this industry will never do. So keeping that kind of spark on around the Submer brand, around the brand that we've been building, it's not just one thing. It's a little thing every now and then that makes you a little bit different. And if you have two products that are exactly the same, which I'm not saying that because we have a technical differentiation with our competitors too, but if it's not a decision about the product or the price or whatever, and then you see the people behind the company, then you're always gonna go for some people that it's inspiring you something different, something that adds value.
So in your opinion, what does the future of marketing look like?
In my view, the future of marketing will focus on using data to create more personalized experiences and for customers. Like with AI, machine learning, all of these new technologies, they will continue play an important role in analyzing vast amounts of data to tailor marketing efforts to individual preferences and behaviors. And like other platforms and tools like virtual reality, augmented reality, they will help with these brand interactions. So they will be more fun and memorable. And another aspect that I think is really important and sometimes is not is underestimated, and it shouldn't. It's ESG. So ESG considerations are becoming increasingly important, and I think that companies need to be more transparent and ethical in their practices. And this means, well, align with consumer and investors' expectations. It will affect brand reputation. You can have also a competitive advantage, but you need to be regulatory compliant, but can also help with employee engagement. So there's a lot of reasons why, sorry, ESG is super important. And if it's like a value that you really value, it's basically to understand that the company needs to take this really seriously and then communicate it externally, because we are also been seeing trends around greenwashing and all these kind of things that people is just putting the sustainable label but they're not actually doing anything, and that doesn't help to the other ones that are really doing stuff like with data and with numbers. And like we are trying to do all this scope 1, 2, and 3 ESG compliant with our own company but also for our customers. So it's just an example of how I think that overall integrating ESG considerations is crucial to sustainable growth. And in an increasingly unconscious, interconnected global market like this, companies need to take really, really seriously. And doesn't have to start with marketing, but marketing is a really important point in all of this.
If you could describe the role of CMO or head of marketing in one word, what would it be?
Translator.
That's a
I
good.
think I think that because a CMO at the end of the day, it's the bridge between, it is the gap between the company's goals and objectives and values and everything company wise, and then how you connect this with all the stakeholders of the company internally but also externally. And you need to be that translator. No, you need to have an interconnection with your goals, with an external audience, with customers, with the broader market, internal communication too. Sometimes marketing, it's underestimated in terms of awareness, branding, lead generation, but all of that needs to be translated to tangible goals, like understanding really the goals of the company, create a value, a strong, unique value proposition, adapting to the market and the audience, aligning cross-functional teams. All of that is translating the needs of the company into specific, tangible results. And this is what makes marketing outstanding, which is driving the business growth.
One last question. If you could give one piece of advice to other marketing leaders, what would it be?
I'll say build strong relationships and avoid silos. It's super important to surround yourself on smarter people than you are and experts on fields that you're not, of course, and learn from others. I think this will enrich you. In my specific case, as you can understand, I knew nothing about data centers or thermodynamics of fluid, heat reuse, compute, nothing. So I count with the effort of a lot of people from other departments, technicians, experts in their fields, and they help me to learn everything. You cannot market anything if you don't understand the basics of the technology. And for a non-technical profile, that's difficult. What also happens with me in the marketing team, I have digital marketeers, content, arts, product, events. If you have a team, also my advice would be to empower your team and those around you, because basically it will lead you to the results you're looking for. And last piece of advice that would be to lead with integrity and empathy. Conscious leader is always a leader that people admire and follow everywhere.